Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
What is up, Guardians? This is Cosmodrome Radio, broadcasting live on all frequencies all the way from here to Neo Muna. We are hanging out, talking about all the great things in regards to Destiny 2 and the game that we love. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible, Pandora, iHeartRadio. Wherever you listen to a podcast, definitely check us out because we definitely can be streamed on any device. You can tell your Amazon Alexa to listen to us if you wanted to. That's really cool in my opinion. But like you can also follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. And if you just like for some reason cannot find the show, just go to cosmodromeradio.com and all the links will be there as well. My name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have one of the hardest working folks there is. Man is bleeding cheddar biscuits as we speak. We have Alchemy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I haven't been on the show for about a week now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks because we took a week off, and then we were here for for Worms. So it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
But I've been pretty meh. Been working a lot. Been working at Red Lobster, and our AC's broken. Last week we had a random ass heat wave where I live.
Oh.
And that kitchen is like 100 degrees.
You more boiled a lobster.
Yes.
All right. Then we have somebody who is so determined to hang out with Asher Beer on a daily basis. We have TWAB Mom. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yes, I love my Asher boy. I haven't gotten all of my catalysts yet for my Vex Caliber.
It should have been a sword.
Hold aloft this sword that
should have been a sword
given to me by the man of the Vex Radalarian Lake. That is not a metaphor, okay?
It should have been a sword.
It should have, and then.
But technically, they already have a Vex sword. That's what the Worldline Zero is.
No, there should have been like a legit data sword called Vex Caliber. It would have been cool.
If you're gonna call something after Excalibur,
it's gotta be a sword.
And while the memes of Monty Python are great, the Vex man in the Radalarian Lake must hold aloft a sword of shimmering samite. Okay.
Anyway, we're going to go ahead and dive into this episode. And Bungie dropped a lot of knowledge on us the past couple of days. But we're going to back up a little bit to like right before that happened in regards to some patches we got. And as we talked about in the last episode with Wormkeeper, we talked about how the game itself has... Who is talking in the background?
It would be my sister.
Hey, girl.
Anyway, run her over with your car. Anyway, back to the show here. So, in regards to the fact of like difficulty, we talked about it with Wormkeeper and how difficulty had been a big complaint and a thorn in the side of the community ever since Lightfall came out. And I was kind of at a point where I was very much like, "Yo, I'm content. Do we need to change a couple things like?" The nightfalls and whatnot, yes, I'm down with those kind of changes. And like, especially even Bungie kind of put it in the TWAB and like in the article, they're like, hey, we want to make this so you don't have to cheese it to accomplish the dub, but we still want it to be hard. And I'm like, that's what I wanted to get at. I wanted to get to that level of things. And Bungie released a patch where they sort of like lowered the difficulty across the board. And honestly, I feel like we might have went too far. I really feel like all we needed to do was touch Nightfalls. Like we needed to fix the battlegrounds, fix the Nightfalls, and been done. But everyone seems to be more content. But I feel like we're going to get to a point next season or the season after that where everyone's like, the game's not difficult anymore. And they're going to be, and literally, like, Bungie's going to throw their hands up. Bungie's going to throw their hands up and be like, we don't know what you want. We don't know what you want anymore because we tried to raise the difficulty and y'all complained. We drop it down again, y'all complain. I have a feeling that it's going to happen and people are going to be throwing a fit again. Like, even, and like, I even like did a measurement because I did I did not only did I do a Root of Nightmares, but I actually got roped into doing a 3-man Root of Nightmares. And it was easier in the new patch to do a 3-man Root of Nightmares than it was originally to do it with 6 people. And that tells me flat out that the Root of Nightmares has no challenge anymore. Like, straight up, it has no challenge. Like, the first 2 encounters flew through like it was nothing. Like, barely.
Do a master.
Well, like, master is a thing though, and like, even from what I saw, like there were people that were getting through master with barely any difficulty, even if they weren't like hardcore streamers. There were people saying like master difficulty wasn't that hard. They're more upset about the fact that Bungie went back to the Vault of Glass, the version of the loot system, where you only get a reward for completing the challenge, not for completing the encounter. Because, like, for those who were super upset about that, that's where they got it from. It wasn't from, like, oh, Bungie's trying a new system, we don't like the new system. No, Bungie changed the master system for King's Fall and for Vow the Disciple. You got a new system for those. But in reality, with Master Root and Master Vogue, they're the exact same, where you have to complete a specific challenge to get a specific weapon. And I actually prefer that because it rises more challenge to the table. That you actually don't just get a free adept weapon for nothing.
Yeah, because Monday, around like 3 a.m, I was doing the Master Shizen challenge, and it is a bitch and a half because what you have to do is you cannot shoot your own. So if you're a runner, you can't shoot your own thing. Someone else on the opposite side has to shoot it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pain in the ass. We were stuck there for like a good hour before we completed it.
Yeah.
On normal, it was a pain in the ass. I was running a raid. I was running it. What was it? Yesterday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And we were stuck on Schism for an hour because the wrong people kept hitting the wrong little nuts. And
it would say challenge failed or whatever.
Yeah, and it got to the point where I was like, look, y'all, I'm on a time crunch. I have to work in like 45 minutes. Let's just
But no, like I really feel like Bungie across the board has lowered the difficulty to a point that people are going to be complaining again. Like it was actually, like, I understand that like certain things like the Nightfall and needed the delay, like especially with the Mars Battleground. Like that thing, the Mars Battleground is going to be nuts. Like without the changes.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
But like even now, like because it was to a point where unless you cheesed it from certain different tactics, you weren't completing it. Now it's to the point where it might be feasible, which is good. But I really feel like when it comes to the overall difficulty, it feels too easy. Like I've never done a low man raid in the history of anything until last week. And once the patch went live and I was doing this, I just randomly like joined one of our clanmates who was doing it. And I was like, wow, third encounter used to be a bit of a pain in the butt. But now I'm doing so much damage to the boss with one Thunder Crash that literally it's almost to the point we were like almost two-phasing it. And it was just like, wow, this is insanity.
Yeah.
So it really concerns me that we're kind of like, we took 2 steps forward to get knocked 5 steps back. It's kind of concerning me. I don't know how, like Alchemy or Tower. I don't know how you're feeling.
Well, I mean, I feel comfortable with the changes, at least when it comes to doing like Legend and Master exotic quests, like you mentioned earlier. Me, going and visiting Asher, doing the Legend before they adjusted for the difficulty, whether it was solo 2 or 3 man for the Legend Avalon, like it was almost unplayable. You could not get past the what was it, that first puzzle section. And since then I've been able to complete, well, I haven't completed it yet, but I've been able to get to the boss with no freaking problems. Get me with my strand, my infinite baby build. I'm clearing ads. Got one person on the puzzle. If there's a third person, they're dealing with the darn, snipers and stuff. And it feels more along the lines of like Legend Seraph from last season, which is perfect. It feels perfect. Not to mention the was it the world enemies on Neomuna feel much better.
Oh yeah,
Especially the rare times when you actually get the freaking public event. It doesn't feel like you're having to deal with, a grandmaster or freaking a raid boss anymore. Yeah, it's still difficult, but it's not like you're, doing a master raid in a freaking public area anymore. Because I think someone calculated it out, and the the red bar ads had almost as much health in the the Neomuna public spaces as raid bosses.
But see, I didn't mind the Neomuna patrols, because they talked about that in the patch notes as well.
Mm-hmm.
I felt as if with the stuff they did with the patrols and the Neomuna areas, it finally felt like we did something worthwhile with a destination. Especially with.
I'm saying it was bad to begin with. What I'm saying is that with the public event, with the Vex public event,
the Vex strike zone.
That's where it was, really obvious. But
even then,
you have a certain amount of time to kill the big Minotaur, to get that exotic chest. And out of 15 times that I've done that since it's been introduced, I've only gotten the exotic chest once.
Right, but I still feel like I still feel like though that it's to a point where after we were still very much to a point where we were under leveled. We had not everyone had reached hard cap yet. Not everyone had started to boost their artifact yet. So a lot of these changes feel like they were too preemptive. People weren't completing the battle pass. People weren't getting to the end of the road. And honestly, Neomuna feels like it's actually worth revisiting to go just to be a patrol, to do patrols and make patrols feel like their time. If I go to the moon, if I go to Europa to do bounties for the new season, it doesn't feel like there's a point to the ads. I can walk up to a random Elixir or a Vex and just punch them and they die. I'm on Neomuna. I gotta throw hands. I don't gotta just punch one dude. I gotta throw hands if I want to survive on Neomuna. That's what's nice about it. I enjoyed the fact that we're not just steamrolling areas anymore. It feels we actually have to put effort into it. And then Bungie, and then there was people complaining, and Bungie went, "Okay, cool, we'll walk this back." And it's we didn't need to walk it back. I feel like there was parts that we needed to tune, but once everyone hit hard cap, I feel and everyone got to 1810, I feel like people would have been more comfortable.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Totally agree with you on that. Oh gosh. I was gonna say something and then I lost my train of thought.
Well, do you mind if I put my 2 cents in while you think about it?
Maybe the thought will come back to me.
You see, for me, I liked it, but it just the Nightfalls and the Lost sectors needed tuning, in my opinion, because the Legend Lost sector being at 1840 off rip, how are people gonna enjoy the new exotics unless they're gonna have to work their ass off to actually get the role they want of the exotic? Because
never mind surviving.
Right.
Yeah, because you'll get one shot like that.
Exactly.
Because
and we're gonna get to the changes they're making with exotics. That's gonna be a really good thing.
Because I remember when I first did Thrilladome as Legend Lost Sector, I got one shot just like that. And it made me not want to do Legend Lost Sectors anymore. Like, I would rather just try to get it out of a world drop or something.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Like, they needed that nerf to Lost Sectors to, like, because right now I go in at 1820, 1823. I still get my ass kicked, but I have a better chance at I don't die in one shot in Legend.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there was those couple things that needed to tune, but I feel like we tuned a little too much.
We overtuned.
Yeah, like because definitely like it feels as if Lost Sectors are attainable now. But when it comes to just like normal content and raids, like what happened? Like it feels lesser than it was previously. Like I like the fact that I was able to just like take Nezarek's gay like hatred in the middle of the raid, and then him just walk up and he like it took him like 5 hits to get close to almost killing me versus before it took him like 2. I'm like,
yeah,
come again? What's going on here?
I did a master Nezi, and in master, he can still one shot you even with 3 void resist.
God dang, that's impressive. But like time will tell to see like what happens. But I say give it a season. Give it a season, and people are going to be complaining again about the game isn't difficult enough.
Salt of Greppo.
Well, Salt of Greppo. I really want to have him as a guest one day, but like even his even his April Fool's joke was just out of line. But we'll talk about that a different day.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But basically, his April Fool's joke was making a threat about how he wanted Thunderlord to be nerfed.
Oh, somebody on my timeline retweeted that. I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, but it's whatever. But diving into the changes that Bungie went out, they put out a giant reflecting on Lightfall launch and beyond thing, and I feel like Blackburn and the team actually were trying to make up for the mistakes. They kind of owned the fact that they didn't tell people what their intentions were with this new way of storytelling, of the whole idea of like give you a chunk in the expansion and then give you parts of it during the seasons, because they had never done it before and literally caught the entire community off guard to the point that the expansion itself feels like there's no story. And then and they're like, hey, give us like a little bit of time, guys. And it's like, that's not what we're used to. That's not what you sold this on. This is supposed to be a complete package. No, we're going to spread this package out across the entire year. And I still will stand on the fact that if you're going to do that, then you shouldn't have charged more so for the premium edition to have all the seasons. It should have been like, okay, cool, you buy Lightfall and you get all the seasons. If you're going to do that storytelling wise, that's where I'm kind of like, that's where my finality is at now. Where if you're going to break up storytelling, because what happens to the random like casual player who doesn't have $10 to dive, who bought Lightfall but can't buy season 22? Do they just miss out on story content? Like that's what I have an issue with. But I at least appreciate
like everyone that bought that couldn't buy the season pass this year. They're missing out on one of, if not one of the major deaths in the series.
Yup. So it's like it really feels as if Bungie they needed to be more forthcoming, and at least they're owning that. I will give them that. Moving on from there, they dove into the issues and complaints people have with Guardian ranks and the concerns with that. Because the biggest thing that people have been wondering about as they grind Guardian ranks is Bungie was very upfront with, hey, come to the end of the season, everyone's like Guardian rank is going to get reset back to 6 at the end of the season. And it was like, that kind of sounds messed up if you're going to grind all the way up to 11 only to get knocked down again. And Bungie was like, okay, cool, we hear you. So what they're going to be doing is making it so the highest rank you get is what's displayed for a season afterwards. and then it will decay. So, and then if you get to a higher rank in the next season, that will become your highest rank, which I can get behind. I enjoy that.
Well, you see, but what happens if like they get all the way back to 12? Like, is it 11? Are they just gonna keep that 11 like all the time?
Yeah, no. Like if you work your way back to if you work your way back to 11, you just keep 11. It won't decay. That's what they're saying. Like if you, but like say if I get to 8 this season and then I get to 9 the following season, that would be like 9 would take over. But until I get to that 9, I'll have 8 while I'm at 6. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of like a placeholder.
The highest rank that you got in the most previous season is the rank that will display.
Yes.
If during that same season you get a higher rank, then that will move up, and the following season, however high you get, that will be your highest rank displayed.
Oh, go ahead.
Which I think is okay. That what that means though is that doesn't mean that you have to regrind 6, 7, or 7 and 8. It means that everything that you did for 6, everything that you did to go up to 7, everything that you did to go up to 8 will still count, and anything that you did prior in that previous season working towards the next rank will still count. So if, say for example, I'm at rank 7 right now, I'm at 13 out of 20 triumphs to get to rank 8. If I don't get the rest of those 7 triumphs that I need, I'll still show at rank 7 next season, and I'll have all the triumphs that I did previously that don't depreciate. So all the blue triumphs for rank 7 will still be done and completed for me, and I'll only have to do any, gold or gray triumphs that will come in for the next season. Any triumphs that you already have that work towards higher levels will already be completed for you. So like they adjusted the commendation system where now you only need like 100 commendations to get to complete the commendations triumph to rank 7 or whatever. And so if you get more than 100 commendations, or you give more than 100 commendations, that pre-completes, that auto completes for the next however many levels. So those are already done when you get to the next level. So like one of the other things is, I think in rank 9 you have to complete King's Fall or something like that, or complete all the legacy strikes that are currently active in game, something along those lines. If you've already done them, if you like have the title, or you've already had those triumphs completed previously before Lightfall, those will auto complete for you.
Right. So like, but here's my hot take when it comes to this whole system though. It really felt weird that everyone started at 6. Granted, they didn't want to just like deprecate and crap on veterans. They sort of like started everyone at sort of like a veteran rank. But at the same time though, it feels like a lot of the stuff you're doing at rank 6, and I don't even know what is even at rank 1 through 5. I might like try to watch a new light and see what they go through at some point. But like in terms of rank 6, it really feels as if it's a lot of stuff, like a lot of like standard stuff you would do in Destiny, rather than what should be done for higher ranks. So, and also, what really bothers me is like even before they introduced these changes, it feels as if we should have sort of took like a Call of Duty approach to this, where it isn't just like stop at 11, because 11 feels like an arbitrary number to stop at. It really feels like we should have took sort of like an Apex Legends or a Call of Duty approach and went like, okay, cool, rank 1 through 100. Once you hit 100, you prestige, and you go to the like like a valor rank, like you go to legend tier or mythic tier, and you hit this sort of like prestige, and then that prestige doesn't just deprecate at the end of the season, but like say next season, regardless of where you are, you go back to level 1, but you keep that prestige. You earned that prestige, but you will have to go back to level 1 for the next season. That makes a lot more sense.
Building a seal.
Yeah, like you're like it would be more rewarding, and it would show who's the vets, who's the sweats, because especially if you have like multiple hundreds of prestiges, it would give the people who need to touch grass something to do, where you have this crazy looking prestiged number next to your name where the wings are out to the damn walls, and it would give you something to strive for in terms of like what your number symbolizes, because it shows, hey, you did this much content in the game, you deserve to have this level of prestige. And then if you get to a point like Apex where level 500 isn't enough, you'll then introduce a new like tier to do it and go from there. Like you would make more sense to do it that way rather than just going, hey, your stuff's going to decay after a while kind of thing. It feels very weird the way they're doing it, even with the commendation system, because they're saying they're going to tweak the commendation system and whatnot, but it feels less like, hey, this person got this commendation because they earned it, and more like, hey, give this person a commendation, that way they raise points. Like it feels like less of a, hey, good job. It's more of like an obligation. And I really bugs me because they tied it so much to the Guardian rank. They're like, and then they keep lowering it in terms of like what the requirement is. But I feel like it was a mistake to even combine it with it to begin with. Like it should have been its own thing.
On that. Heck, I was watching Kiddo go through seasonal content earlier today, and when he got to his first battleground, he was like, oh, well, I'm not going to do commendations, what's the point? And I had to kind of explain to him that's like, one, it'll help you raise your guardian rank, but two, I had to explain to him that it's almost like um, like a common courtesy at this point. I didn't want to tell him that it's all that it's required. So I had to explain to him, okay, well it's a common courtesy. It's like saying thank you, And I explained to him as well that like, hey, next season, guess what? They're going to be adding in best dress. So now you can tell people that you really like their fashion instead of, calling them a joy bringer or whatever. Like, hey, with a 13-year-old kid, stuff like that, a little bit more easier to explain, but then, he still didn't understand.
Fashion is destiny end game.
Oh, fashion is the true end game. Fashion is the true end game. Anyone who says different, fight me.
Y'all are some hooligans, I swear.
Even my 13-year-old son understands that, and he's still only getting blues, but he goes in and he'll be like, I need the best fashion, Mom. Anything that matches with my lucky pants.
Oh my gosh. So yes, it very feels like Bungie's trying to fix some things, but we still have some critiques and some things like, we'll see what happens. It kind of like feels like everyone's on the same page there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then Bungie moved on to build crafting, and they're introducing some things. They've gotten some feedback because they're like, hey, people are still kind of struggling to get used to this armor charge system. They don't fully understand in some cases how to generate armor charges on certain subclasses, and they see how everyone likes the artifact mod. Or, hey, if you get a fire sprite, you get an armor charge.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, cool.
It's totally not overpowered with the new Firebolt mod in Crucible.
Right. So it's very much like, okay, cool. They're adding elemental charges back into the game, similar to how it was before. If you picked up a elemental well, you got a charge with light. Now they're like, okay, cool. If you pick up a void breach or a ionic trace or a fire sprite or a stasis crystal, or if you shoot a strand tangle, you get an armor charge. And I think that's a great way to go about it because it incentivizes people to build craft into their subclass.
Yeah.
Now, do I think with stasis that's going to be broken on Titans? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh god.
like my Grandmaster build is going to be whack, but it's fine. But in general, for people who aren't that great at build crafting and are newer at it, I feel like it's going to be a great thing. And they're even introducing another mod called Powerful Attraction, where whenever you use your class ability, within they didn't say what the vicinity is, and this is a radius. It'll be like a radius determined by how many copies of the mod you have. All the orbs of power that are around you will be like a magnet. It's coming straight to you. And I think that's cool. I think that's cool.
Maybe.
But that might get broken real quick if hunters are just dodging around the arena and doing dumb shit. I feel like that could be really broken.
They did admit that dealing with something like that, especially from a larger radius, is something that does strain their system. So they also mentioned that shooting a orb with a shoot to loot weapon will also.
Yep, they're changing shoot to loot to do that as well instead of just being ammo.
Nice.
Great. That will, like, personally.
Ooh, that's gonna be great with my.
I've never found it valid in D2 for shoot to loot because it doesn't really matter to me as someone who primarily uses kinetics.
I mean, shoot to loot was interesting from a endgame standpoint, but in normal content, you don't really need it.
Yeah, exactly. But now, if I have a shoot to loot weapon and there's orbs of power all over the place, well, great. I don't have to go running like in planets in the planets in freaking Ron. I won't have to run past the freaking boss and possibly get stomped by him in order to get my super back, which makes me very happy. That's happened to me a few times.
Right. So that definitely will be exciting in regards to that. But also Bungie did say, like, they did re-emphasize we are getting 3 new aspects per, like one per class next season for Strand. So that'll definitely help with the build crafting. Because I will admit, with Strand right now, it feels like per class, unless you're using the Strand specific exotic, there's not really a reason to use Strand. Like, it feels like you're geared into one build.
Warlocks?
Warlock it is incredibly valid for ad clear.
Right, like Warlocks have infinite threadlings. With Titans, it's ambient leap. With Hunters, it's the helmet. Like, you have these specific builds that are built around their exotic, or at least the exotics emphasize the build. Otherwise, there's no really differential when it comes to the builds. But with these aspects, people are saying there might be different.
Swarmers, dude. Like, Swarmers are great and all, but like, honestly, all you really need is a couple of
pair of necrotic grips.
And necrotic grips or Eye of Another World, and you're good.
Yeah, so it very much feels like hopefully with these it'll go different.
With necrotic grips and Ashura and consuming your shout grenade, that's what I've seen most people use for ad clear.
That's
Not
insanity.
everyone has necrotic grips, and that's what makes me really happy about the new exotic system,
which we are about to get to. Don't you worry about that. But see, here's the thing. So let's dive into this real quick. Before we do, the Bungie also said with artifacts next season, they're like, hey, we know artifact clicking and resetting can be annoying. Next season, we're just going to make it so you can click and apply and refund with one click on each mod. That's going to be dope. So look forward to that. Like, there'll still be a limit, but you can click and unclick and refund and buy each one individually. So good on Bungie for that. They just didn't roll it out with Lightfall because of limitations, which cool. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
The big thing that they announced is the focusing decoding, because people have been saying for ages that focusing exotics, especially when it comes to running law sectors, is a pain in the butt. It's so hard because not only is it hard to even get an exotic you want, it's hard to even get a good roll of it sometimes. And people would love the opportunity to focus an exotic in a specific thing. Now,
or get exotics from the expansion or season a different way.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Bungie did not say that they are going to make it so you can can bypass the law sector method. They did not say that, because if you look at the article, it does not specifically say that exotics that are locked behind expansions, like say if I wanted to go get a pair of ice ball mantles, I would still need to complete the law sector where I got the exotic to then focus it. Similar, like that's still going to be a thing, at least from what I see here. There's or ambient leap. There's still you still have to gain it from the source, because if you look at say Zer's exotic engram pool only has exotics that you have previously obtained from the wild or from their source. You can only re-roll with Zer. You can't just let me rephrase that. You can only re-roll world-based exotics, not lost sector exotics, until they enter the pool, because those are still locked behind that way. So you still need to complete the lost sector, get the exotic from the lost sector, and then you will be able to go to this new method and focus it. And also,
they did not clarify that about the Vex incursion, though. That's the thing. They did state that with the Vex public event, that it will now drop any exotics that you do not currently have.
I really feel like
then it will drop you a random roll. But
I still feel like
you have to do the lost sector in order to get that into your pool.
Yeah, like every law sector exotic is still put behind there. You don't get to evade that. So I feel like until you get it from a law sector, it won't apply. They're very much didn't include that, and I feel like that was intentional, because at that point there would be no reason to run the law sector at all. They still want you to run the law sectors. They just want to give you a chance to go for this. Now, there's two other caveats with this that I think were intentional. So Bungie had, if you look at the diagram they set up for the focus decoding, it shows Red War helmet, Red War chest, Red War hands, Red War legs. But then Shadowkeep, Forsaken, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall. It doesn't show each one individually for the rest beyond Red War. I wonder if there's a way to change that later on. If not, and you're only able to focus specific limbs via Red War, that's gonna suck. But if they make it so you can later on earn the ability to focus like a random pair of arms from Forsaken or vice versa, that will be good. But we will see. Also, the cost is a lot.
Yeah, 30k glimmer for a roll, just to get any random exotic, but the focus decoding is what, 50k or something like that, plus, or no, it was 60k plus Ascendant Shard and a Cipher.
So if you want a specific
ciphers to 5 instead of just 1, which I'm
yes, and it says for precision decryption, directly focus any exotic armor you want. it will have 1 exotic engram, 3 ascendant shards, 60,000 glimmer, and 1 cipher. So what I really like about this is for seasons upon seasons now, it is felt like if you didn't use the exotic cipher from your battle pass because you were sitting on one, tough luck.
Yeah.
And also, if you have every exotic in the game and you're satisfied with your role, you just have been sitting on an exotic cipher for God knows how long.
Me.
So I feel as me. So
2
I feel
years.
so I feel as if them going, hey, you can use ciphers to focus specific roles. A, it incentivizes people to go get the cipher quest from Xur every week, and B, it makes it so you actually have a reason to use it more often if you want to focus for a specific type of build. And I really enjoy that. So that's going to be exciting. So,
but here's my 2 cents, Panda. I honestly think they should go back to where you can re-roll the stats with a certain type of item like you can in D1. I like that.
No, because here's my thought process with that. That would cut the hamster wheel in half versus cutting it in cutting it down by a third, which is kind of I can see where Bungie's intent is. They're like, hey, we want y'all to grind. We want you to play the game. And if you just because you can see like a really hardcore player doesn't touch any grass, just running in the cut and farming a bunch of the material to re-roll the exotic, and then you would just be sitting at Rahul for 5 days, re-rolling exotics until you get the roll you want. That would be broken. Versus here, you have to get engrams, you have to get glimmer, you have to get ascendant shards. The wheel is more expansive this way versus them cutting it in half with just, hey, get a bunch of one material and you get to sit at Rahul for 5 days.
Not how they did in D1. That material was rare. You had to dismantle an exotic piece to even get it. But how they would implement that in D2, you couldn't just pull infinite exotics out of your collections. They just wouldn't give you any. They have to either be a world drop, armor piece. That will give you it. Not even Lost Sectors will give you it. It has to be a world drop exotic. They able to get you that material.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Interesting. Okay.
Because back in D1, we didn't have the collections to cost 10k glimmer and 30 legendary shards.
Right.
We didn't have that. All we had was world drop exotics and Xur.
So, okay, I see what you're saying. That's cool. But regardless, I'm excited for the ability to focus exotics. We're going to see how that goes. It's going to be very exciting. And it gives people more stuff to play for. So I'm down. The next thing, we're going to move into the TWAB. The TWAB was the hype. That was me reading this TWAB. My God. So we've already talked about the stuff that was in the article, so we'll skip that section. But in terms of the GMs are going to be nuts. What is nice is they're keeping GMs pretty much the way they were previously. So while they will be a pain to complete, other than the changes they did to the battlegrounds, all GMs are pretty much going to feel the same way they did prior to Lightfall, which is fine. I'm down with that. We already have to deal with the fact that Proving Grounds is this week, and it's going to be a pain in my left nut. But we'll get to that when we get there. Alchemy knows exactly what the hell I mean about that because Proving Grounds is the devil.
It is.
But then Bungie said, "Hey, yo, so we're gonna let you know what's leaving and what's coming real early." So what do I mean? So for Nightfalls, for Trials of Osiris, and Iron Banner, and for competitive PvP, there's always been weapons that rotate out every season. And Bungie has even said, "Hey, we're not gonna give you all the hints, but like we're going to keep expanding the legacy focusing, and I really enjoy that. So Bungie's like, hey, Whistler's Whim for Trials just had its last week as an adept weapon, but you will still, and it's going to rotate out of the system, but it will still be able to be obtained in legacy focusing after like now. Similarly, Mindbender's Ambition's final week to be adept is April 18th, so write that down. Malicious Birthright, the kinetic lightweight grenade launcher, its last week will be May 2nd. So if you want to farm Malicious Birthright or Mindbenders, make sure that you do it during GMs or Nightfalls, those specific weekends, or those specific weeks rather, or if you just want to focus engrams for cheaper, like through the focusing system, do it that way and make sure you're doing it right. Trials in the Inquisitor, Slug Shotgun, and Whistler's Whim are rotating out. Inquisitor, they've already said that May 9th is going to be its last week as an adept weapon. So if you're really wanting a good, like, chappy legendary weapon, because it really is a chaperone as a legendary, you better get it then.
It is.
Iron Banner, we're losing Wisdom Rebuke and Hero's Burden, which that really bugs me.
The two old weapons that came back like 2 seasons ago are now getting rotated out. That is hilarious.
Not only that, like they just came back, but also they legitimately just got perk refreshes because Wisdom Rebuke has Volt Shot now, and Hero's Burden has destabilizing rounds. So it really feels like if you don't grind Iron Banner this week or in 2 weeks, you're going to have to buy these guns from the legacy pool. And that's very odd to me. Like, why not make it so these guns stay around when you're going to perk refresh them? Feels a little weird.
Take out Gnor's Axe. And,
Gnor's Axe just got here. Gnor's Axe was last season.
Allied Demand and
some of the older
and
stuff,
Allied Demand, and there's another one that came out.
I think it was Allied Demand and Wisdom Rebuke. I don't know why they're getting rid of Hero's Burden already. It was Allied Demand and Wisdom Rebuke that came at the same time, I believe. But it's cool.
Yeah,
we'll get there. It's fine. And then competitive, we are getting rid of Rose. So if y'all haven't got a good Rose yet, you got 3 chances per week until the end of the season. So you better start grinding now, because when Rose is gone, it's gone. So play that comp.
Ooh.
Then Bungie said
that actually concerns me, because I know with the comp changes, the 3v3 changes that they made recently, I think it was last season, where one of the quest steps that you have to do is earn Rose. Well, are they?
They'll probably change the quest step
to the new weapon that
they're I think they'll probably do that, because otherwise that quest will be broken and people will have to sit there for 3 weeks till they fix it. And then Bungie said, hey, here are the weapons that are coming in. We're getting a new weapon called Praytech Osprey, which is
not new.
Oh, it's not new?
That's not new.
No, that's from
That is a Warmind.
That's a
Void rocket
I'm
launcher.
sad. I got excited. I think it was a new weapon. Oh my god.
Osprey
Ooh, I like the way it looks.
One of those weapons that was in an incredibly rare drop.
Ooh, I like the way it looks.
Protocol.
No, it wasn't Escalation Protocol. It was the Nogrish strike during Warmind.
That makes so much sense. Okay, cool. So we're both proven wrong. So Braycheck with Osprey's coming back, and then the GOAT itself, the GOAT loaded question is coming back.
Oh, that's gonna be such an awesome thing,
dude.
And then but we're also getting a strike weapon called Positive Outlook to be a void precision auto rifle. Gambit is getting a Strand linear fusion rifle. Crucible is getting the one, the only Randy's throwing knife back in the cut. Oh, it's gonna be a good time, ladies and gentlemen. Randy's is back on the menu.
No, I hate 120s.
But here's the worst part, Alchemy. You're not thinking about the fact that if it's just a crucible weapon, if we keep resetting shacks, Randy's is gonna have like 6 perks in the slots.
Yeah.
No. I will not be playing next season. Goodbye. I'm quitting Destiny.
Hold on. I have some good news for you, though. I have some good news for you.
What is
So Trials is getting an Arc Glaive.
Yes.
And also, my favorite weapon is coming back. What's Panda's favorite Trials weapon besides Astral Alchemy?
Shire Draft.
No. How do you know me? What is wrong with you?
No, I'm trying to remember.
The GOAT. The best thing that ever happened to me. Messenger, you hooligans.
Messenger,
Anyway.
yeah, you even posted it in the chat. I am so stupid.
Messenger, the GOAT, the king of pulse rifles is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. And if they refresh it and put keep away on it, oh, your boy's gonna be tripping. And then for
Hatchling on Messenger, I will actually grind Trials.
They won't. Well, no, they won't make it. They won't put it on Messenger, because Messenger is a primary. It's not a strand weapon.
Yeah.
So
why would they put a strand specific perf on a kinetic weapon?
That's fair.
And then Iron
Banner.
They
could make it strand.
Yeah.
Now hold up though. Iron Banner's getting a strand fusion rifle.
I know.
And also, one of my favorite things on God's green earth is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. The Swarm of the Raven is coming back to Iron Banner. It's gonna be legendary.
That's the pulse rifle, right?
No, that's the heavy grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Did you know that can get chain reaction to stabilizing rounds? That's gonna be fucking busted.
Blinding nades. I will grind for a blinding nades.
And then competitive is getting an arc sniper rifle. That's all they said. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with comp. Is that it's gonna
that I might be grinding that because snipers are my shit.
Well, y'all know me. You're gonna see me in Gambino for that linear fusion.
That linear, you're gonna hunt that linear down. All right.
I love my linears. I love my heavy machine guns, and I love my rocket launchers.
All right. And then for folks, if you didn't see, for Bungie thought they were slick and put for the first time ever put a shader in Prime Gaming. So if you have
the second time.
The second time? That was the first time.
No, the second time, because remember that purple and silver shader I have.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that was a Twitch. That was a Twitch drop. That was a Twitch drop.
Yeah.
No, that was actually Twitch Prime shader.
I've gotten Prime shader before, yeah.
Okay, so like this is the second time, which is really annoying. But like, so yes, if you have Amazon Prime, make sure you log into your Twitch, link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch, make sure that you collect these rewards because it's free loot. It's free loot. You get emotes, you get ships, you get ghost shells, you get exotics from time to time, you get ornaments from time to time. So definitely hop in on that and grab that.
And the shader, honestly, it's
nice.
Kind of like a knockoff version of Callus's Treasured, in my opinion.
I'm pretty hyped about. So definitely.
Also, speaking about that,
what?
Callus's Treasured.
Is it available?
No, you told me something earlier in the week.
I didn't tell you nothing. So, but moving on. I didn't tell you nothing. I'm not getting in trouble for that. You ain't about to expose me on the air for that. No. We know nothing about what's going on. Anyway, but yeah, you got me all flustered now. Anyway, folks, how can you about to get me in trouble?
I'm gonna throw chanclas at him, guys.
You know, Alchemy got me in trouble right now. So, but no, I am flustered and I don't like it. Anyway, so right now, get ready. Like, just be excited because new things are coming to Destiny. We have a lot of stuff going on in terms of the game right now. They're very much hinting at Season of the Deep is going to be like the season of change for a lot of things, and I'm very excited about it because it feels like in terms of story, this season was very lacking. And we're going to dive into the story next week, hopefully, because like nothing will be going on. We finished the story beats finally like last week. So we will touch on that next week. But since we have a little bit of time, why don't we talk about these PvP changes? And I wasn't going to talk about it, but we'll touch on these PvP changes that are going to be coming. I will go back to the PvP article because across the board, it feels like PvP is in a, like what I would say, almost a really good place. Almost.
Not with one SMG.
Right. Like there are some outliers, but like across the board, it really feels like the Destiny PvP is almost in a very healthy place. But let's talk about some stuff.
Immortal.
So the Immortal SMG came out through Trials of Osiris 2 weeks ago. Well, 3 weeks ago now.
The very first week.
The first week that Trials was out. And quite literally, this gun has taken over PvP in a way that we never thought possible. It has the same gun model as Multimach and Borrow Time, but for some reason, because it's an aggressive frame, it has gone out of its way to just be a weapon that can outrange pulse rifles. It can destroy people super fast. And even without a perk like Target Lock, and with Target Lock, it's even worse because with Target Lock, you get bonus weapon damage just for continually firing at a target and causing damage. So you get boosted damage for dang near free and just continually get to just almost destroy someone with a TTK of only like 0.5, I believe it is. And normally I'm not someone that like talks about TTKs and whatnot, but it really feels like with this gun specifically, and combine that with the situation that's going on with Aikilos SMG and with Teraba, it feels as if the community is... I'm going to get to that. It feels like the community is very divided right now on what to do. And the consensus has been shorten the range of the aggressive SMGs and we're fine. I can get behind that because there's enough counters at short range to deal with it, because there's no reason on God's green earth that an SMG should be able to outclass a pulse rifle. No. I'm sorry. Whoever told you that lied to you. Like, there should be no reason that your SMG is outclassing me. I'm sorry, because my messenger should be able to outrange you. End of story. Yeah. In terms of target lock, Teraba is out of control. And a lot of people are out right now saying we need to nerf Titan Peacekeepers. No. Peacekeepers is not the problem, because all they're doing is giving a boost to an archetype. The archetype of the gun is already a problem. Like, because if you ruin the pants serve no purpose. The gun being as good as it is, that's the problem, because if the gun is already busted out the box, the pants are just buffing a busted gun out the box. Yeah, like it feels as if we need to rein in the SMGs, because everyone's always like, "Oh, Taraba isn't that bad. Taraba isn't that bad." Taraba has been a sleeper menace for seasons upon seasons now that no one's really talked about. And then when it got worse around Lightfall with Aikilos SMG being a menace, and then now this, they just need to take a little bit of a range nerf. Range nerf, maybe a little bit of a damage nerf if you ask me, but just a range nerf specifically, and we'll be fine. Target lock, I don't know.
In PvP, should get enough.
In PvP, I feel like with SMGs, maybe auto rifles, it ain't that bad, because it gives the Hake, or at least the slow firing auto rifles, a reason to exist. It gives auto rifles a reason to even exist in PvP. So I'm okay with it on auto rifles, but on SMGs, it needs to come down a little bit. Then there's the issue of fusion rivals.
You should not be able to one-shot somebody.
No. Let's have a real conversation.
Crucible.
Well, let's have a real conversation.
Okay.
Bungie does not seem to understand. I forget what season it was. It was either Haunted or prior to Haunted.
It was Haunted.
Okay, it was Haunted. that was around the time that Bungie made fusion rifles hit scan. And what hit scan means is it doesn't matter how many of the bolts hit you in almost any circumstance. If they connect with you, you are probably gonna die. It doesn't like you can like a person could miss half of a spread of a fusion rifle and it will still kill you. And like that, that's why you've seen the rise of the friggin' what's it called?
Ingredient.
Main ingredient. The main ingredient fusion rifle that Xur sold for one weekend, and that people could get somewhat similar rolls through Dares of Eternity. You saw fusion rifles
under pressure rangefinder.
Or like tap the trigger. It was under pressure, tap the trigger, and you saw all these people coming in with this gun, just mowing people down. And like it's to the point where either it like sort of comes into the top 10 of trials, or it's right under the top 10. You see fusion rifles upon fusion rifles sitting there doing these tons of damage where shotguns still can't come near to outclass them again. And it's to the point where fusion rifles dominate this meta spot, where if you use one, it's almost a free kill every time. Now, granted, there are some wiggle room, like especially right now, they're about to buff rapid fire frames, because rapid fire frames don't always have that. You hit your pellets, you get the one shot. Now they're like, hey, we're probably gonna fix that. And they're saying, oh, it's about a resilience thing. No, it's not. They're lying to you. Something else is going on in that code where when we have clips upon clips, there are different people in PvP that can tell you firsthand. There are so many clips of people just holding down the trigger and getting free kills from fusion rifles. It's asinine. It makes no sense as to why this is occurring.
I remember when we went into trials on Altar of Flame last weekend. You were completely behind a wall except for your foot, and your foot took all that damage that one shot you. Like, you should not be able to one shot someone behind a goddamn wall.
No.
Oh, there's been so many times where I'll like jump in the air at someone and only my feet will catch the fusion rifle and I will die. And it's just like, why? Why is this possible? Okay. And then here's the other
also, it can grow through knockout shields.
Yes.
As well.
And also it's to the point where like I even said this prior to barricades being nerfed. Most fusion rifles can one-shot barricades even before the nerf. So it really like that's why when people would say, "Oh, nerf barricades," I didn't understand why they were saying this, because every fusion rifle in the game can one-shot the barricade. But then it's also a situation of look at the problem with fusion rifles when it comes to their ease of use. There are so many times where I will shoulder charge somebody, or I'm trying to duel them with a pulse rifle or an SMG or even a hand cannon, and they're like on the brink of death. Like they are literally about to die. And all they're doing is just holding down the trigger. They're not really like scoping in. They're not doing anything. They have almost no control over their sticks. They're just shooting because they're holding down the trigger. And there's no penalty. There's no penalty for just holding down the trigger. I am of the belief if you're not going to fix the hit scan issue, there should be a threshold where if you take a certain amount of damage while holding down the trigger of a fusion rifle, I'm about to die. Oh, my finger comes off the trigger. Or like in the game, you lose the charge of the fusion rifle. Because in what world can you keep holding down the trigger as I blind and shoulder charge you in the face and you're at 1 health? Like, there should be no way to survive certain circumstances. Or like in duels, when I have a pulse rifle to you and you're at 1 health, or a hand cannon and you're at 1 health, but all you've been doing while I'm dueling you is holding down the trigger, there should be a threshold that you have to meet before it just deactivates. There should be no reason that you should have this perfect ease of use for this gun. Fusion rifles across the board, doesn't matter what archetype it is, have been too easy to be used. Like, it was to the point that people were bringing out the Last Wish fusion rifle and going flawless with it. And no one used the Last Wish. Like who uses that thing?
That kills you. No.
Like, in what world does that gun just come out of left field and start doing mass damage? Like, or now, like even before the rapid fire buff that's about to happen, people were going into Garden of Salvation to get god rolls of that fusion rifle, and it gave people a reason to farm Garden. And I'm like, what are you people doing here? I'm like the only person of like 5 people that likes Garden of Salvation, and it was so funny to me. So it's very weird.
Glacioclasm.
Oh my god, that thing is amazing. Like, and that's the thing too. Charge times are abysmal on some fusion rifles, but they can still one shot. Like, you can literally have the worst charge time in the game, and it'll be at 1 health from somebody shooting you with over like 50 bullets. But because you have a fusion, there are times, actually, no, it happened just this past weekend in Trials with Alchemy, where quite literally one person's Glacioclasm killed me and him. Because we were standing in a line. We were standing in a line coming into the room. And like half the pellets hit me and half the pellets hit Alchemy. And we both died. In what world does that make sense? What other special weapon besides a sniper, where they have a perfect collab with both of you in a straight line, can do that? Shotguns can't do that. Like, what shotgun can do that?
It's freaking Cloud Strike.
Right, like it makes no sense that fusion rifles can kill with 2 people in one burst. Like,
you see, the only fusion rifle that should be able to get a collat is Kalesho, because those are actual projectiles.
Yeah.
Or Jotun, because that has a lot of heat.
Yeah.
But so it's very much a situation where I really feel like Bungie needs to actually take a look at fusion rifles and either take away the hit scan or make it so there's a threshold of damage that you can take where it deactivates the charge. And it will be a surprise to people of, oh, I don't hear a sound, I don't feel a vibration, I don't get the reward of holding down the trigger, but you still have to actually learn how to use the gun. There's an art form to it. There's an actual reason to get a charge time masterwork. Like, there's reasons behind it, because rather than you just getting a free kill, because that's what fusion rifles have been, is just a free kill stick. You rush in, you get a kill, and then you kill the rest of the team. There's been times where like there was a specific round of Trials this weekend where I literally killed 2 people with each of my 2 Glacioclasm shots, and then I shoulder charge killed the other guy with Peregrine Greaves. And it was like, why? Why is it that easy for someone to pick up a fusion rifle and just do that? It should not be that easy. So I really feel like we need to take a look at fusion rifles specifically. Now, the changes that Bungie talked about, where they are going to be diving into Trials of Osiris, because like the map weighing and whatnot, we can have a conversation about that a different day. The map weighing and whatnot, but I want to talk specifically about Trials and what's happening with the lab next season in terms of the new matchmaking, because it really feels like with this new matchmaking system, Bungie is totally misunderstanding what the issue is with Trials of Osiris. So and I rarely ever do this, but I am going to read off what is specifically going on with the lab. So, where is it? So not only are we, like, this is separate from the specific thing, but not only are wealth passages going to give you more trials rank, mercies are getting bumped from 1 free loss to 2 free losses, which I think very good.
What they did in G1.
But in terms of how the new matchmaking will work, we will now have 2 active soft pools. Soft meaning that matchmaking initially prefers not to blend the pools, but will, if necessary, to find a good game quickly. So the distinction is not as dramatic as one between flawless and non-flawless in the current system. Challenger pool. This is where most players who currently play Trials on a week-to-week basis and who want to go flawless will play. It represents an experience more like the original iteration of Trials in D1, without a focus on making games more difficult as the card progresses or after you have been flawless. This pool matches based solely on connection. There is no matchmaking on tickets anymore, or wins, or skill. Players who have any card with no losses, including a card after reset, or those playing with someone in the fire team that has a card with no losses, will be placed in the pool. Practice pool. This pool is targeted at new and less experienced players who are not yet ready to give going flawless a shot, and represents a place for them to dip their toe into trials without being thrown straight into the deep end. This pool matches based on connection and weekly performance, how well you have done in trials this week, resets every week. Only players with a flawed card or those who on their first game of the week can play in this pool. Everyone in your fire team must have a flawed card or be on their first game of the week to enter this pool. This pool has stomp protection. If you are consistently struggling, it will reduce your weekly performance rating to give you slightly easier matches until you recover. And farming protection, if the system detects you are a fire team member are likely attempting to farm the practice pool, it will slow down your matchmaking times initially. And if you continue, it will lock you into the challenger pool for the remainder of the weekend. This does not fix the issue with Trials of Osiris.
No, it does not.
Because let's be really frank.
Last week, when we were doing trials, we should not have gone against someone that has 300 plus fucking flawlesses.
I'm gonna get to that section in a second. That's the meat and potato. But let me touch on the appetizer. The current system of Trials of Osiris is damn near perfect, no matter what anyone tells you. Because not only does it give people ways to farm adept weapons on a grander scale, it allows people who are not the best players in the world an opportunity to go flawless. Here are the two issues with the current system. It's too easily abused, and there's no skill-based matchmaking. What do I mean by too easily abused? There's people just doing carries by going to 6 wins and then resetting on their 6th match while the other 2 people or the one person goes to the lighthouse. Or people are 1 win resetting to farm rank, but to also KD farm, kill death ratio farm, by farming low skill players by staying at the first match of the card. And when you actually sit down and look at what's going on, you see people who have these like 2.0 KDs, 3.0 KDs, and sometimes they don't even earn it. They don't deserve it. They're sitting there and you can even look in the Destiny LFGs on the app. It says 1 win reset farm because they're trying to stop people from going flawless, but also they're not entering the flawless pool where they're supposed to go. And also, they're just making their KD larger to seem like they're intimidating.
Yeah.
Let's talk about and when it comes to let's talk about the flawless pool for a second, because I talked about it previously. The flawless pool, for those who don't fully understand it, is once Sunday arrives, if you have gone flawless on Friday or Saturday or at any point post Sunday at reset, you will then be put into the flawless pool. And when you're in the flawless pool, you are not going to match with people that have not gone flawless. So you are matching with people that have already gone flawless, but it gives you a challenge. It's saying, hey, if you want an opportunity for every one of your matches, even if you lose a match, because everyone keeps forgetting that. Bungie has said this multiple times. Even if you lose a match and you no longer have a flawless card, you have an opportunity for an adept weapon to drop if you get a win. It is like it's not guaranteed, but if you you'll still get like enhancement cores and prisms from winning, or trials engrams. But you have a chance for an adept weapon to drop each win, even if your card is flawed. That is what they have said since Flawless Pool has come out, and people don't seem to understand that. They just think, oh, Flawless Pool is too sweaty, and everyone's all sweaty in the Flawless Pool. Man. Wow, it's almost as if you went flawless because you were a skilled player, and now you have to fight other skilled players now. The world's coming to an end. And then there's the second thing. Skill, and also now they added an extra component onto it this season with Lightfall. They said, okay, cool. You went flawless. Good job. Now, if you get a 7-win card, doesn't matter if it has flaws on it or not. If you have a 7-win card post going flawless, you can farm the adept weapon. You can turn in your card and turn in an engram for some glimmer and some legendary shards for a chance at the adept weapon. That's how people got their immortal adept rolls so fast with the roll they wanted to. They didn't go flawless 5, 6, 7 times. They just went flawless and then kept turning in cards, and they got the god roll they wanted. So you have 3 different ways to go farm adept rolls in the game now if you go flawless. You have going to the lighthouse, farming in the flawless pool, and then turning in flawed or 7-win cards in general. And yet people are still not satisfied. They want the flawless pool to be eradicated because they see it as a problem. Because it makes like doing their carries harder. And carries, let's be frank about it. Carries should not be in the game. Carries should not be in the game. And Bungie has created an environment where like it's part of the flawless seal to take your friends flawless. They did it on the term of trying to create camaraderie, and yet people have turned it into a business. There are people charging for carries. There are people doing raffles on Twitch for carries. When in reality, that shouldn't be happening.
That's been a thing since day one, though.
That doesn't make it okay, though. And I think it's created this economy where Bungie has like sort of catered to it for too long. And it's created this environment where if you're going to continue allowing carries, skill-based matchmaking should be a thing. Yeah. I know people don't like it, and people can. Thank you, Tower. But in terms of it, and when also, I need anybody that has a problem with skill-based matchmaking to stop using the straw man of connection to go away. Please. Because the issue is not the connection, like, oh, they're prioritizing matchmaking of skill over connection. No, Bungie needs to get dedicated servers, not, oh, the connection is the problem. Because just because you're fighting somebody in a different country and they have McDonald's
Zimbabwe,
just because someone's fighting someone in a different country and they have like McDonald's level Wi-Fi doesn't mean you should have an easier match. It's like that's just the case, because we kept running into people in trials this weekend where me and Alchemy are decent. We're 1.0, like 1.1, 1.2, something like we're 1.02. Like, we're not the best players. We're pretty average. Yeah. But you have me and Alchemy at like 1.01, 1.02-ish level, matching with people that are 2.0, 2.23, 3.0s, or even 1.6, 1.7, 1.8s, with over hundreds of flawlesses, carrying people with like a 0.4 KD because they either paid for it or they won a raffle.
Yeah.
I don't care what level your KD is. If you're carrying somebody, that person should immediately be pulled up to your skill bracket. Same thing with console players having to opt into PC players. People with lower skills should, if you want to be carried, you should have to fight on their skill level, not the other way around. Because we see so many times they're like, okay, cool, we're just going to give the person with the low KD the fire team leader. That way we match with lower skill players and we can stomp them. That's what stomp protection should be, is preventing that. It should be outlier protection for those situations. But it keeps happening over and over again where we see these high skilled level players matching with people they have no business going up against. And when you see them on Trials Report, you're just like, we're not winning this. There's no way. There's no way on God's green earth. There were times where we would step onto the match and we'd be sniped so fast it seemed as if we did like nothing. We could not move. And that's not me making excuses. I grind Trials almost every week it's out. I play Iron Banner. Alchemy grinds his little heart out and has the flawless seal. Like, we're not like chump players making excuses. I know when I make
No,
mistakes.
sometimes I try to gild it.
Yeah, like we're not making excuses. We know, like, in a lot of situations, it's a skill issue. I'll admit when I miss a shot or when I mess up, I'm not dumb. But when it's legitimately a situation of you're on another echelon of a tier than me, there should be no reason I should see a 2.0 player anywhere near me as a 1.02 in any way, shape, or form. And yet Bungie's just like, no, that's okay. That's fine. Like, what? That's why
they hated on me for so long when I was pissed off that SBMM was taken out of control.
Yeah, no, people get so mad about that, but it's like skill-based matchmaking actually makes video games better. People didn't even, and like I saw someone complaining the other day about Iron Banner. They're like, I don't like skill-based matchmaking because it makes my Iron Banner wait time super long because it's trying to find me a match. You mean it's trying to find you players on your skill level to play against?
And
it's fucking crazy, apparently.
Is that a problem? Well, I want to play my video game. Well, if you're on a tier level where other people are not on your tier, what do you expect people just to like play on your level and get stomped and then they leave? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Sometimes I've heard stories of people saying their friends bring them into Destiny. They try Crucible, and they just leave the game saying, "Hey, I can't play this game anymore because I like my PvP, and this game's PvP is just absolute ass."
Mm-hmm. So it very much feels
like trials, but like Panda, you and Alchemy, we ran Iron Banner earlier this week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's the first time, or maybe the second time I've stepped into Iron Banner in 2 years. When they took SBMM out of freaking out of PvP initially, I was devastated because I actually felt good. I felt like I was being challenged appropriately.
Yeah.
I was learning, I was understanding how to work it. I hadn't touched Iron Banner in 2 years. And the first 3 matches we did, I was I will admit I was ability spamming my freaking Infinite Babies build.
That's all right.
I actually felt viable again.
Yeah.
I was getting, 10, 12, 15 kills a match with my Infinite Babies, and I hadn't done that in 2 years.
Right.
I felt great.
And coming from
do
some
that for trials, I'd actually grind it with you.
Right. And like they took a big stride with trials when they introduced the flawless pool. But then people started to figure out how they could manipulate it. Here's how you fix Trials of Osiris. You make it so until you get a flawed card, you cannot reset your card. Until you have a flawed card or until you have wasted your mercy, you cannot reset your card. Now, granted, that brings in the idea of, we'll just purposely lose a match and then reset. But even then, you can't. If you have like 5, 6, 7 wins on a card, you shouldn't be able to reset until you have that loss, which means you're endangering the player you're trying to carry by taking that loss. That should be the penalty you take.
Second mercy on a flawed or second mercy on the cards in order to prevent that from happening from people resetting after a single lost match. I think
so like even with them adding that, you should be like that should make it even harder. Until you lose those 2 mercies, you're not resetting your card. That should be the way it is. But also, once you implement that, you then have a situation where it's like, okay, cool, now you add skill-based matchmaking in. And then you make it so if you're a 0.2 player, you get pulled up to the echelon of the person you're playing with. That's how it should be. Doesn't matter who's fire team leader. If you have a 2.0 on your team, you're going up to the 2.0 tier. That should be the end cut of it. I don't care what's going on. Because there were times where we would load into matches where there's like 0.4, 0.5, 0.4, and they have like none of the correct mods on, and you know they're going to die. You know that they're newer players that are trying trials for the first time, and they have no idea what they're doing. They're just trying to get some engrams. There should be no reason that me and Alchemy are fighting them. That's absurd. But on the same level, me and Alchemy should be fighting people on our tier level, not just sweat like crazy 2.0s. There should be a tiered system for trials. And like, say these people that are like 0.4 or 0.5 with the wrong mods, once they get the right mods, the right targeted mods, the better rolls of the guns, and they are able to prove like 2, 3, 4 times, they're able to go flawless in that pool. Okay, cool. Now we're going to put you into the next tier because your KD has risen. You're on the next echelon of the table, and you keep progressing. Like, don't make it a rank system like comp, but make it like a tiered system where you are able to strive to go to those higher tiers. And then, hey, I'm a 2.0 now. Knock your ass back. You start losing again because you are not as skilled as the other players, and you settle in at a KD where you know you play at. You play at that KD and you stay at that KD until you rise. And once you rise, you go to the next tier, and then you settle out of that KD and you stay there. Like, and if you go flawless, cool. You start playing against harder players. It should be that kind of system, but people see that and they don't want it. And their biggest scapegoat is, oh, the connection's bad. It shouldn't exist. No, dummy. You should still have to play people on your skill level, regardless of if I have McDonald's Wi-Fi or good Wi-Fi. Because to counter the argument of like McDonald's Wi-Fi over that, what's the difference between you fighting you being a 2.0 and fighting someone who's a 2.0 and they have McDonald's Wi-Fi, than me fighting a 1.0 as a 1.0 when they have McDonald's Wi-Fi? Nothing. Like, it should be a tier, or the better argument is, if you're a 2.0 player fighting a 2.0 with McDonald's Wi-Fi, or you're a 2.0 player fighting a 0.44 with McDonald's Wi-Fi, there's no difference. So why shouldn't they prioritize the skill level over the connection? It makes the most sense.
Yep. But the problem is the most vocal people are the ones who are supportive of connection based and who really just want to sit there and be able to get those easy wins. They're the most vocal, and they're the ones, they're the big streamers who, make their money off of, being able to consistently stomp lower tiered, lower skilled players like me, because people get off on it.
And what's so funny is, I think I heard from one like PvP streamer, they were like, "Oh, people just use pub stomp as a straw man." I'm like, no, you use connection based as a straw man. Like, you want the ability for you to go down the ladder and fight lower skill players. You want that to be your existence, and that shouldn't be the existence. If you if you want to use longer wait times as your next straw man, wow, you have to wait to play people on your skill level. It's like your Goku not wanting to fight somebody at their strongest power level. Like, literally, like that's what Goku gets his rocks off on in Dragon Ball Z. And you're not saying you're as good as Goku? You want to just like stomp on the little guy? Like, stop it, bro. It's not funny. Like that's
don't be Frieza.
Don't be Frieza.
Yeah,
like
right? Don't be fucking Frieza.
Like, that's kind of where my brain's at this point. Where like, I just have this very low tolerance for people just saying that like this version of PvP is going to be better. No, it's going to be worse, because you're going to have this giant mixed pool of people who never go flawless. And it's going to be like back to where it was, where only the elite of the elite. Now, granted, that's what some people want. Some people want it like that, or only the elite of the elite get it. But like, the whole point of it is supposed to be where anybody could like bust their butt and earn the adept. And there was a great thing that somebody suggested. I forget who it was. I really forget who the streamer was. They had a great idea for a card, a passage for a saint to have. It was like a passage of like deliverance or something like that, where like it didn't matter how many flaws you had in your card. If you got like 21 wins over the course of the weekend, you got an adept weapon. You didn't need to go to the lighthouse, but if you got 21 wins, which is the equivalent of 3 cards, you got an adept weapon. And you only get 1 per week. I thought that was a genius idea to incentivize people to play trials at any skill level.
That would incentivize me.
Yeah.
Y'all know I don't play trials.
Like, that would be such a great way to get lower skill players to dip their toe into trials. If people really want to gatekeep the lighthouse that much, cool. Make that passage. Give people a reason. If you want to gatekeep like the sparrows and the shaders and whatnot, cool. Do that, but give people a chance to get the adept weapon. That's where I'm at right now. Yep. So that's where I'm gonna leave that.
Well, sometimes those weapons can be top DPS. Because look at Reed's Regret when it was available.
Reed's Regret was so busted as a DPS tool for raids. Bungie literally had to make a like free to play version of it for everyone in Witch Queen because they saw, hey, Reed's Regret is busted. Let's give everyone a void version of it for free. That's how busted Reed's Regret was. like that. Yeah, I very much am on that stance. And I would love to have some PvP people in the community come on the show. We would love to have a summit of some kind and talk about this because there is no viable argument that anybody has been able to give me as to why the flawless pool is bad, other than people manipulate it. That's all. Because I won't buy the carry argument because the carry I firmly believe the carry system is like flawed to begin with. But in terms of like, because there was somebody who like told me once, oh, I can't help my friends go flawless because I'm like a 2.0 and they're a 0.5. Okay, cool. Have your friend make some friends on their tier level and go into trials. Or better yet, because Fireteam matchmaking is a thing now, have your friend go solo into trials and you coach them, but them also play people on their skill level. Because that's what they should do. They should play people on their skill level. Genius. Like, I don't know where I come up with this stuff. Like it's crazy. But anyway.
And I love you so much for all of this discussion about SBMM. As someone who is lower skilled and struggles even in 6s, like to hear somebody actually like validating my feelings about skill-based matchmaking just god, sparks joy.
I mean, I'm glad I could like get you that feeling because like there was even a point I believe it was, like I forget who it was actually. Matter of fact, I forget who it was, but something like there was a streamer who said he's heard from lower skill players that they're not getting any challenge out of skill-based matchmaking, and I'm like, what?
That
doesn't make sense
at all. Who the hell would say that as a low skilled player?
Yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense, but it's fine. But next week we will be back. Pending any crazy announcements from Bungie, we will spend next week talking about Season of Defiance and digging into the story finally. There's been some emotional beats that I want to dig into, but that'll be next week. We'll dive into that hopefully. Yeah, the little white Easter egg that like people have been finding is pretty cool. But Tower, what is your closing statement for this episode?
Honestly, like I said before, thank you for validating
No problem.
Matchmaking and making me feel like I actually like my arguments are heard and understood. I appreciate it.
No problem. Alchemy, what you got? Alchemy, why are you muted?
Oh, sorry, but my closing statement is, I just, I can't really give a closing statement right now. But
Okay.
I'm just glad that they're trying something new, and that players should get out there and get into their play normal SBMM and actually play with their skill bracket.
Yes. My closing statement is I'm cautiously optimistic for the future of Destiny. I did not plan on that PvP rant taking us another hour into the show. I apologize. But we will catch you folks next week here on Cosmodrome Radio, and we will see you Starside. Peace out.